Hello, and welcome to the John Ark Show. Today's episode is called The Professional Sports Industry is Dead. Before we begin, I want to encourage you to subscribe, like, comment, and follow us. Also, remember to click on the notification bell so you can be notified every time we upload a new episode. We've got a lot of great celebrity interviews coming up and a lot of breaking news stories, so make sure you get notified. I would also like to tell you about a service called HollywoodIsCalling.com. It's a great company that allows you to purchase live phone calls from your favorite celebrities, so check them out. It's something you can buy for yourself or as a gift for someone you love. Now, let's get started. Today's first viewer question is: Are professional sports in America over and done with? It seems like recent events have destroyed most of them, and that what's left isn't worth watching. Well, there is no doubt that recent economic, social, and health issues have all but destroyed many professional sports leagues, teams, and individual athletes. They are still pretending like it's business as usual, but if you look at their ratings and their revenues, you can see how bad things really are. Take the UFC, for example. They're doing a brilliant job of trying to keep things going. They want to keep things entertaining and they're trying to make money. But even a casual observer can tell that the magic isn't there anymore. For a lot of these sports teams, things will not improve until the economy and everything else opens back up and it's allowed to fire on all cylinders. My heart goes out to the UFC's Dana White because he's doing everything that can possibly be done to improve things, but it's going to be very hard for them going forward, as it will for so many other sports and leagues and athletes. The one sport that is completely unaffected by everything that's going on in the world is electronic sports, which everyone knows requires no physical interaction between players and fans. Ironically, the electronic sports industry will probably grow and prosper more dramatically now than ever as long as things are locked down. In fact, you could even make the argument that the longer the economy is locked down, the faster the esports industry will continue to prosper. It may even be the best thing that could ever have happened to it. On the other hand, many of the other sports leagues, teams, and athletes are losing mountains of money, viewer interest, and if that weren't bad enough, they continue to make decisions that alienate their fans and continue to drive more nails into their financial coffins. On top of that, the ratings are collapsing even faster. We're hearing that some of these leagues and or individual teams are going to be put up for sale soon, which is unfortunate because in many instances, their problems are not of their own making. Now, another problem we keep hearing about with regards to professional sports that's not going away is CTE, which is chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which is a progressive brain condition that's caused by repeated blows to the head and repeated concussions. The experts used to think that this was a problem just in football and boxing. Now they believe that even shoving somebody during a soccer game can cause CTE. Just because the lawsuits have been settled doesn't mean the problem is gone. Athletes are still getting hit in the head, still getting concussed, and none of that is going away. And if you're a father or mother and your child comes up to you and says they want to play in football or boxing or any other heavy contact sport and you let them, you should know that you're going to be responsible for their future low college admission scores, for their inability to get a good job down the road, for their suicidal tendencies and chronic depression. All of that stems from being hit in the head repeatedly earlier in life. Now, what you have are sports teams and athletes whose popularity is in large part determined by how much violence they can inflict on the air, and it's the violence which sells tickets. So these leagues are pretending to be working on a solution and trying to address the problem, but they all know that actually solving that problem would mean the end of everything for them. So what they're really doing is just having these really long studies and endless meetings in which nothing is really achieved. They just need to project the appearance of trying to solve problems rather than actually solving these problems. Next question. We see that violence in our town and other cities like Minneapolis is continuing to skyrocket. How much worse is it going to get? I believe that as we speak, some cities are now basically open war zones pretending to be cities. Every night we see and hear stories about mothers sleeping on the floor with their children because they're afraid of being shot through the windows. Another problem with many of the towns is extortion. Gangs are now preventing people from leaving their neighborhoods or going to work or coming home unless they pay a tax or fee to the gang to come and go. Depending on how things go with the final results of the election, we could end up descending into total civil war. I believe that many Americans have already passed the breaking point and are now financially broke and emotionally destroyed from losing their jobs, homes, and most importantly, their hope of any real recovery. I suspect we'll end up seeing a new form of spontaneous vigilantism across the country, where ordinary people who can't take it anymore start to defend themselves. Next question. What is this new phrase I keep hearing about called tax violence? Well, tax violence is a new description for something that more and more cities and states are doing to increase their taxes on property owners and people. They're raising their taxes so dramatically that people are now describing this phenomena as tax violence or tax assault. What happened is that over the last 20 years, a lot of cities and states have stolen all the pension money and stolen all the lottery money that was supposed to go to the education system. They've completely drained their accounts. In an effort to cover that up, they've taken on mountains of debt, which they can no longer make payments on because they can't collect taxes because everybody's out of work. So what these cities and states are doing now is they're going to double and triple their property taxes. In Jersey, we're seeing that some people's home property taxes have gone up so high that when they receive these tax bills, the homeowners actually think there's somebody trying to prank them because the numbers are so ridiculously high. When a city raises their taxes dramatically at a time when people are out of work and no one has any money, then what property owners say they're basically doing is employing tax violence to steal their homes and trying to use the equity in their homes to pay off the massive municipal debt. This phenomenon will, of course, be heavily contested in the courts because the homeowners will claim that it's unconstitutional and will essentially redefine homeownership and reduce its value to zero. They'll claim that if a city can double or triple or quadruple your property taxes, then what's to prevent them from increasing the taxes to the full value of the home or even higher? If you can raise someone's property taxes to an infinite number, then what you're effectively saying is that the homeowner doesn't really own their property and that the city, with its new power to raise taxes to infinity, can essentially take their homes whenever they want for whatever reason they want. They'll say that if you don't really own your home, then what do you own? The troubling thing about all of this is that the courts and the prosecutors in some states are now openly ignoring the laws or simply making them up to justify their own financial or political needs, and that's a huge problem. Next question. Has dating as we know it come to a crashing end? I will say this, and that is that things have definitely changed in the dating world, and they've changed for the worse. We're seeing singles ads now on various websites where people indicate they're no longer interested in meeting at all in the physical world. They just want to meet online or be virtual friends. Another thing we're seeing in their ads is that some people are requiring a negative blood test from you before they will actually meet you in person. That's one end of the dating spectrum. At the other end, there is a large group of hundreds of organized swingers descending on New Orleans for a clothing optional event where random intimate partners get together for open swinging. The group has been meeting with city officials to make sure they abide by any and all requirements, and the officials say they are being very cooperative. it appears that dating is changing and it's moving in different directions. And depending on where you live, I suspect the dating world is going to become even more extreme and more dismal. I also think that someday when 18-year-olds look back on, what dating was like 10 or 15 years ago, they will be amazed. I want to thank you for watching and tell you that we're going to have more great celebrity interviews and more great breaking news stories coming up in the future. So we want to encourage you to subscribe to our channel and click on the notification bell so you can get notified every time we post a story. Thank you for watching.